Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of Modern Web. My name is Tracy. You can follow me on Twitter at LadyLeet, and I have an amazing guest co-host today, Adam.
Hi, it's me, Adam. You can find me at BigAB at techhub.social.
Is it Tech Hub with one H or two H's?
It's two H's, Tech, TECHHUB. It's all very confusing.
And is Tech Hub, is there a 3 in the middle, like T3CH?
Oh, there will be by the time we're done this podcast, because that's super cool. But no.
Adam is usually my co-host on the Build It Better podcast. If you have heard of that, it's pretty cool. You know, we talk about a lot of advanced topics in architecture and things like that. So if you want to go hang out with us there, definitely. It's myself, Ben Lush, Jesse Tomchak, and Adam. So, but today we are here to talk about the hottest topic in the hot news trending on Twitter. Oh my gosh, Kevin.
Hey,
he's the hottest news trending on Twitter right now.
I don't think I am the topic of today, right?
I disagree.
It's probably Svelte.
Yes,
thank you.
Svelte 4.
Yeah, it's finally out after like 4 years. I think Svelte 3 was released in 2019. So
oh my
I think
God.
There was a funny thing. A friend of mine who's not that into Svelte said, but it said like after like 3 months, and I was like 3 months of waiting, and I was like, oh, that's a joke. I'm like, because I think the blog post starts off with like,
right, yeah, it does.
Months of waiting. I'm like, no, it's been years.
You really do have to worry these days. Like, a joke is not a joke. Like, I made this funny joke this one time that on a podcast that junior developers should get paid. I think I said junior developers should get paid over $500,000 for their first job out of boot camp. And like, kudos to you if you can get $500K out of boot camp. Okay, like I applaud you. But then somebody applied at this dot, and he said, you know, I'm looking for $500K, and I was like, okay. And he's like, yeah, that's what you said. I was like, where did I say that? I took down the podcast.
That's nice. But if you have a job that's paying more than $500,000 for a year for junior devs, please contact me and let me know where you work.
Yeah.
Yeah, imagine what they're paying senior developers, right?
Yes. Well, less, obviously, because junior developers are like more.
That's
okay,
true.
I can't say anything hot takey, so let's just
end here. Let's just move on.
By the way, this podcast was a hot take podcast too, which is even worse.
Hot take.
I was taken seriously.
Svelte 4.
Yes, Svelte 4. Well, first we need to know who Kevin is, because like Kevin does so much in the Svelte community, and like let's just set the stage, Kevin.
Yeah. So let's. I guess I should just introduce myself.
Yeah.
I am Kevin. I live in the very cold, not at the moment though, city of Stockholm in Sweden, and I run something called Svelte Society, which is kind of the official, unofficial community arm of Svelte, if that makes sense.
I love it.
It's a bit fuzzy. But yeah, so I do streams for Svelte Society on YouTube. I run a podcast called Svelte Radio with a couple of other community members. And I organize a conference, Svelte Summit, 2 times a year. That's pretty much it. Run a Twitter account as well with another couple of people. So
the Svelte Society, it's like it's more like, I mean, it is all encompassing, but it's like, is it more focused on like the Discord, for example? It's like kind of where everyone communes.
Yeah. So the Svelte Discord is basically where you should head if you want to hang out with the Svelte people, or just generally very nice people in that hang out there. We have our kind of like hub of the Discord with all of the people there, and then all this other stuff, it kind of just goes out from there. So the podcast and the YouTube and all these things.
Yeah, awesome.
You can join just to talk web dev in general, Svelte in specific, or
Well, there's a ton of channels and a ton of things, and a help section that gets literally, I think, hundreds of questions a day.
Yeah, it's very hard to keep up. Like if you turn off Discord for a day and then come back, it's like 100 messages, and you're like, what?
but it's a great source of information too, and it's searchable, so it's not just flowing into.
That's actually a problem we've had. Like, people don't know that you can actually search on
Oh yeah, you get the same question again and again and again and again and again for sure.
Yeah.
Well, on Facebook, all the Facebook moms groups I joined, they're like, when you join, there's a big thing in all caps that says use the search feature for topics.
Yeah, I'm sure moms have never existed before, and they've never had the same questions that people post, right?
True that.
Never
true
happens.
That. Yeah. So even though you didn't want to make the show about you, it sounds like you are the hub of Svelte. You help run the Svelte Society. You have the Twitter you mentioned earlier. You
conference.
You run the Svelte conference, the majorest one, right? You also have the podcast Svelte Radio. So you are Svelte, right? Other than maybe Rich, whoever that guy is. Rich
I wish, maybe. No, I can't take like.
If
credit
you had
for,
like
for
a
all
charming accent and a red hair, I think you could be a big deal in this place. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
you can change that.
I think I'd need to be like probably a head taller as well.
Oh yeah,
Rich is pretty tall. So,
but like next conference, you can definitely have like a big Svelte, the biggest Svelte S. And like, you know how you go to like, Disneyland and you have those like giant characters in suits? You could do that.
Right. Just make like a comically big Rich Harris
oh my goodness
mascot thing.
Kind of like that Shia LaBeouf song, if you know what I'm talking about, where they have these giant Shia LaBeouf heads. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? Or
no, but that's amazing.
Anyways, they're like giant paper mache heads that look like him. You could do that, but Rich Harris instead of...
Oh my gosh.
That would be amazing.
It's like the best way to spend conference budget, Okay, let's talk about the Svelte 4 release. Okay, so it's just released, and what is going on? What's new? What's changed?
Yeah, so as mentioned, Svelte 4 was released Svelte 3 was released in 2019, which is like ages ago. And you would think that Svelte 4 would include like all these major new cool features that everyone has requested. But that is not the case. Svelte 4 is really just a maintenance release, basically. So bringing all of the learnings from when the team built SvelteKit into the Svelte repo. So that would mean things like switching the code base from using TypeScript types to JS doc types, which has been a very controversial
which is not
thing.
Nearly as controversial as people want it to be, but yeah.
No. You can still use TypeScript in your projects, and you'll get all of the autocomplete and all this stuff. Everything just works. It's just for the maintainers. They feel like they can work quicker in a JS doc environment.
I feel like it's mandatory on every like podcast or mention of the Svelte change. You have to say that. Yeah, don't worry, you can still use TypeScript. Yeah,
it's kind of like the joke that Tracy just told us about. It's kind of the same thing. People just like they assume things they don't understand properly, and they just go for the comments. Very upset. Yeah. But no, you can still use TypeScript. But yeah, so other than that, so that's an under the hood thing. The Node version has been bumped. Also, nothing major. I think the last version was something like Node 8 or something like that, like very, very old. So I don't know who's still stuck on that, but hopefully no one. But yeah, other than that, performance improvements. I think the JavaScript bundle has gotten a tiny bit smaller if you measure it over a larger website. And then one of the big improvements here, I think, is the package size of Svelte 4. It's basically gone down from, I think, 10 megabytes down to like 3 megabytes, which means that
2.8.
2.8. All right. Even better.
Well, and I heard a rumor that
so you could just say 2
is like ESLint rules, which if there could be an ESLint change, then you could remove the other half and be even smaller.
Yeah. I mean, that would be great. Like getting it down to like 1.5, right?
Yeah.
So you might not
at the bottom.
Yeah. So the package size of Svelte, you would, a lot of people would probably think like, why does that matter? Like, that's not going to ship to the website anyway. So, but there are a couple of things that this does that improves the experience overall in both using and starting Svelte projects, but also using the online resources that we have on the Svelte website. So that would be things like installing a new project goes much quicker. Using the REPL on the website it starts much quicker, right? Because you just have to download 3 megabytes rather than 10. I almost said 1.5 there, but not yet. Yeah, and the number of dependencies has gone down as well from, I think, 61 to 16, which is great. So we don't have to rely on as many external packages anymore. Yeah.
That's really good. Yeah. I think, it's funny because, like being pretty involved in, JavaScript from, I think, like 2016 to, let's say, 2019, right? When, Angular, Vue, React were kind of at the height. It was funny having like state of JavaScript events where, you talk to, core team members and the maintainers, and it's like, well, it's smaller. Well, it's smaller now, So like, it was kind of like this race to the bottom in a sense. So it's really cool to see like Svelte is focusing on that optimization too. And I also think, this Svelte 4 and, the web components piece is interesting. So again, continuously pushing the web forward, or pushing the web into web components, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
The web components feature of Svelte has been not the best, I should probably say. So previously, if you used Svelte to author your web components, you would basically get an inferior experience. You wouldn't get all of the features, and this is something they've addressed in Svelte 4. So now you should be able to create web components that work just as a Svelte component would work if you compile it to just Svelte. So that's great. Opens up the usability for Svelte in more places, especially where you have things like, I guess, micro front-end architectures and things like that. Yeah, other than
more
that...
adoption.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We're just trying to spread out our tentacles everywhere and get everyone to try it, because once you try it, you never go back.
I think that's a huge thing, right? Because, especially in enterprise companies, it's like, well, we can't because we use, whatever framework they use that they're stuck on, right? But like being able to kind of slowly pull in other technologies and mess around, or like make one component here, in Svelte, like that's really appealing to developers. And I think also really appealing to just like making your platforms, whatever you're building. Should I say future-proof, or are we all going to puke?
Go for it.
I've already puked in my mouth.
Yeah.
But Tracy, you're right. Like, if you're listening right now, listen to Tracy. If you're at work and you're like, oh, we're stuck on this other framework, but I really, really want to use Svelte, just use the new elements thing. Put one little element in there, and then show everybody, look how awesome this is, and then just build a little more, and suddenly you've got an entire app built out of Svelte.
I mean, it's totally true, right? Like I've seen that in a lot of like Angular 1X, right? Where it's like, okay, we don't have the budget to like migrate away, even though like support has ended, y'all. But because of that, right? It's like, oh, okay, well, we could do these little, build these little things in React, and everything's great, So it's like, again, sprinkling in some love is nice and keeps developers happy too. So all of those developers should join the Discord to have some conversations about how to do that. And Kevin will answer you personally, right, Kevin?
I will try.
He answers every single question personally. You've heard it here first.
Wow, that's a big commitment. I think we have something like 55,000 members on there, so that someone should be able to answer.
You're so popular, Kevin.
Yes, my personal Discord.
It's the Kevin. It's the Kev Discord.
Right. Yeah. No, there are some great people on there. They're excellent at helping people out, and it's a very welcoming community as well.
Yeah.
So
And
if
you're passionate about Svelte or even looking to get into it, right? I mean, this is a great opportunity to, help Kevin answer all the questions
right.
on the Svelte Discord. It sounds like there needs to be a little bit of help there. Any other comments on the web component side of things?
Not really. We've seen, so this was before Svelte 4, but we've seen some companies like Spotify and IKEA use Svelte on some websites and parts of websites. I'm sure maybe they just used Svelte straight up, but could just as well have been regular web components as well.
Yeah. Kevin, where are you originally from?
I am from Sweden.
Oh, you are? You don't sound Swedish.
Oh.
You sound American.
Here, do something and make yourself sound Swedish.
All right. Let's see. Hello there. No, I can't.
You sound Canadian. You sound like Adam.
Hey, I'm Canadian. Hey, you're not Canadian, eh? What are you talking about?
I'm not, no. No, it's. I don't know why I didn't get the. So there's a very specific Swedish accent that most people here have. I just managed to avoid it somehow.
Weird.
I don't know why. Yeah.
Okay, but
I probably just watched a lot of like American films.
Oh. Well, I was watching this Korean thing the other day. It's called A Singles Inferno. So it's a Korean show about singles, and it's filmed in South Korea. And Korean people say, oh, a lot. And the other day I was on a call and I said that. I was like, oh my gosh, this is bad. But the reason why I asked you about, where you're from, especially since I know you live in Sweden, is because I really love IKEA and I really love the candy at IKEA. And then I learned about, is it called Lördagsgodis?
Yeah, Lördagsgodis. Yeah. Okay. Saturday candy, basically.
So like everybody eats candy on Saturday in Sweden, apparently. Like that's just a thing.
I mean, kids probably. I tend to eat candy like multiple times a week because I just like candy as well. So, but yeah, I think it's kind of unique to Scandinavia. Maybe it's not. It's like a pick and mix kind of thing. You just go with a scoop and you just pick all these sorts of random candies and stuff.
But I love living in a place where the culture is you eat candy on Saturdays.
But is it only on Saturdays?
It's supposed to be only on Saturdays, but I break that rule.
But it just means everyone eats candy all the time.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a kid, we had Saturday morning cartoons. If you don't know what that is, you're not old enough. But Saturday morning cartoons was the only time I was allowed to eat sweet breakfasts like Fruit Loops and, other sweet breakfast cereals. Captain Crunch and stuff. And I remember just thinking, like, when I'm older, I'm going to eat it all the time. And I did for a while, but that's why I look like this. But now I can't eat sweet breakfasts anymore.
Speaking of which, if you're looking to, let's see, how do I translate? Like, okay, something, docs, getting an upgrade, looking better. Was that a good transition? That was
the best transition. Smooth as silk.
Yeah.
So smooth.
I don't think I've ever heard a better transition.
So a lot of these improvements are developer experience. So now for developers looking to learn about stuff, what kind of upgrades have there been in that case?
Yeah, that's also a good transition. Yes, yeah. So the svelte.dev website, it used to be good. Now it's even better. So they took a lot of inspiration from the Svelte Kit website, which you can find at kit.svelte.dev, which had this awesome command palette that you can just search through, and it was all around a really good experience. And now they've brought that to the Svelte website. So just like on the Kit website, you can just go in, hold down Command and K, and then just search for whatever you want. Or you can just go check out the docs as well, of course. There's some improvements to the code highlighting and stuff, and all of this stuff. And I think that's it for the docs. There's also the REPL that I briefly mentioned earlier. It's gotten a facelift and is, I think it's semi rewritten. Sorry, and it's faster and. Oh, major feature of the new Svelte website that has been missing for ages, dark mode. And if you've been pining for
Important.
that. That's now in there. So now you can finally not blind yourself when you go to the Svelte website. But yeah, the REPL is improved, much faster, new version of CodeMirror, all sorts of fancy new features that you can use. Doesn't work with SvelteKit, right? Because it just runs in the browser for now. But there's another awesome project called SvelteLab that is a REPL specifically made for SvelteKit that you can also use, separate from the new Svelte website. There's a new tutorial that you can reach by going to learn.svelte.dev. And this one teaches you both about Svelte and SvelteKit. So that's a very nice addition to what it was before. Earlier, we had just the Svelte tutorial, and that was just straight up Svelte. But once you'd done that, you didn't really know where to go from there. Like, do I go to the Kit website? Do I just start a Svelte project? What do I do? And now this new tutorial, like, it really helps with that. Brings you straight into SvelteKit, teaches you the basics, gets you started. And
like, just to sell that a little more, it is I think the height of tutorial experience for me. It's interactive, it's super informative. You can bookmark and go back and jump around if you're that kind of person too. I just think like everyone should be looking at the learn.svelte.dev as like, oh, here's how we teach people how to use our framework, or here's how we teach people how to use our library, because it is that good.
Chef's kiss good.
Oh, 100%. Like I remember back in 2019. So I started using Svelte when version 3 was released, which I think was in May 2019, something like that. And I remember, so I come from a React background before I used Svelte. And the React experience of like learning what to do and where to look, it's partly a problem of size, right? Like there's so much more in the React ecosystem that you can go to learn. So you kind of get paralyzed in a sense. You don't know where to go because there's too much. And I remember just going to the Svelte website, and the REPL existed back then, which is, it was not a common thing to have that back then. Nowadays, I think you have REPLs all over the place. And I tend to think that the Svelte REPL probably inspired people to create playgrounds like that. But yeah, it's so good. Like, it's all you need really to learn the basics of Svelte.
And Kevin's private Discord. I think in order to DM people, you have to like become friends with them, right? Like,
it depends on their settings.
Oh, what are your settings? That's my question.
I think you should be able to DM me if you're on the Svelte Discord.
Oh, so dangerous. Well,
so for a maintenance release, as you described it, we've got like instant, no, you don't need to do anything savings and size because it's just the way that it works. You don't have to touch a thing. Suddenly you're more performant in a smaller bundle. You have, improvements to, the web component side of things. You have bug fixes. You have, there's some things we didn't mention, like a better IDE experience and change of the transitions to local, which if you don't know what I mean, check it out on the Svelte website. But it's basically changing to a more useful default. And that's actually a pretty good release for a maintenance release. So what amazing things are we setting up for? What are we teeing? If this is a maintenance release, teeing up Svelte 5, what kind of things can we look forward to in Svelte 5? Yeah, if you can spill that tea.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know much, so I'll speculate a bit. And the change that I talked about that the Svelte team did for the code base from going from TypeScript to JSDoc is a way for them to more quickly iterate and work on things in the Svelte code base. So that should mean that they can build things quicker, improve things a lot faster, and make new features faster as well. So what has been teased from the core maintainers is basically a new compiler of some sort, or an improved compiler at least. So there are 3 people that are paid to work on Svelte now full time, which is great. And I think Dominic Ganaway has been quietly plugging away behind the scenes a bit, working on Svelte 5, I think. And he teased recently on Twitter something about signals. Maybe he just likes signals. Who knows? Or we might be getting signals in Svelte. We shall see. But yeah, so what can we expect from Svelte 5? Probably smaller bundle sizes. I think they're going to address the issue of... So you've probably heard that Svelte, it doesn't scale. So in the sense that once you reach a number of components, the bundle size is larger than that of another framework like React. So that's probably going to be improved. So we're probably not going to see that issue in the next version of Svelte, which I think is one of those. Honestly, I don't think
that's huge for enterprise.
Yeah, but it's definitely big, and it's. I think it's one of those things that also make people a bit afraid to use it, even though in reality, I'm not sure it's that big of a problem. But it sounds scary, right? To have like, 55 components and then my bundle is bigger than in React. That sounds bad. So with that gone, that's great.
Yeah, and that number is just sort of thrown out there, right? It's not an exact 55 components or anything.
Oh, no, yeah. Yeah, that's true. I think some people have done tests, but...
That's kind of the nice thing about the compiler approach, is that that's just sort of like this limit that happens to be there now, but there's no real reason for it, right? And this is where I think Svelte 5 might address it, is because it's a compiler. It can be like, oh, hey, well, I know I have you know a bunch of things that are the same. I can bundle those up into what would be a little framework, and then we don't have that problem anymore, which presumably is where this is headed.
Yeah, exactly. And like from an application builder point of view, it's also nice because you probably won't even notice that it's happening. You'll just get the upgrade for free.
It's just like the savings, the bundle savings right now. You don't change anything. You don't change how you're writing code. You just get a bonus for free.
Exactly.
Bundle and save, 40% off.
Yeah, so that I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going.
Is there like a timeline for Svelte 5?
There's not.
Ish.
I think
6 months.
I mean, I'm not on the team, so I can speculate freely.
Yes.
I don't know. It would be nice to have it around Christmas.
Okay.
That would be cool. That would be a nice Christmas present. I don't know if they'll be able to make that though. That's not too far away.
Maybe Jan Feb.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So as the voice and man with the finger on the pulse of the Svelte community, what do you think the community is clamoring for? What is it that we really want in Svelte?
Is Svelte using Vite yet?
Oh yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I figured, but I have to ask.
It pretty much is a Vite plugin, actually.
Yep.
Exciting.
So it's all built on Vite. Anyway, sorry. Is there something that the community, or as a whole, has just been wanting in Svelte? Something lacking in Svelte, maybe, or something that would just make Svelte even better than it already is?
I think probably higher quality ecosystem libraries, right? So that would be things like charting libraries or map libraries or things like that. So I just said map libraries, but I just realized that the Svelte Hackathon, we got a really, really high quality map library. So
nice.
That's checked
amazing.
off. Yeah. And really form library, we also got that at Svelte Hackathon.
Oh my God.
Superforms.
Very nice.
Do you run the Svelte Hackathon?
Sorry?
Do you run the Svelte Hackathon?
Yeah. So the Svelte Hackathon is a Svelte Society, Svelte JS kind of collaboration thing.
Okay. So I have a question about that though, because you talked about like 2 really amazing things coming out of that. Mm-hmm. For the hackathon, are you all like directed in, hey, this is what we want to make? Or is it just like people getting together and like making random stuff?
So we've talked about doing different things. So for this one, it was basically, we just had 3 categories and used those as a way to like direct people. Nice. And they were pretty broad this time. So things like best ecosystem library, that can mean anything really, right? And then we had one called best whiz-bangery. So the coolest thing that someone built. And that was really, really fun to see. Someone built like a car game. Someone else built like a ChatGPT game. It's very, very interesting stuff.
But it's amazing that like now all of a sudden, like really impactful, meaningful things were contributed through the hackathon. Yep. I mean, that to me is difficult to accomplish.
Yeah.
You know, so
I think the hackathon was like a smashing success. Like,
yeah,
we got so many cool projects submitted. And I think we're definitely going to run it again, for sure.
Cool. Like in December.
Probably next spring.
Nice.
So it would probably be something along the lines of the last one. So the last one we announced in February, I think. Yeah. And then we announced the winners at Svelte Summit in, I forget, end of April.
So cool. I love it. Well, any last words?
No, I think that's it. If you want to contribute to Svelte or Svelte Society, hop on the Discord, talk to us. We are very welcoming, and we love when people join and contribute with anything, really. Can be code, can be just help answering questions, directing people in where they should ask questions, all of this stuff. One last thing as well for international people or folks that don't speak English. We have a bunch of language-specific Svelte Discord servers that are on the channel list in the Discord that you can just click on, and then you'll find Swedish Discord, a Norwegian one, Brazilian, Spanish, all sorts. So if you're interested in like finding other people in your area, that's where you should probably look if you're not an English speaking.
That's cool. Thank you so much. Well, Kevin's on Twitter at Svelte Society, so you can find him there. You can find him on the Discord. There's Svelte Radio, Svelte Summit, Svelte Hackathon. So definitely check out the Svelte community, and it is great to hear that y'all are welcoming. I mean, that's why I joined the Angular community from Ember, because I was like, these people, they're all so nice. They keep inviting me to stuff. I love it.
One last thing I should mention is that we have a group called Svelte Sirens.
Yes. That
you should definitely check out.
Tell us more. I mean, I said yes because I'm, but nobody else knows why I'm saying yes.
So this group is really to welcome any non-traditional kind of people into the space. So women, LGBTQI plus, etc. So that's definitely something to check out. And Brittany has done a really good job there with her streams on the Svelte Society YouTube. There's Svelte Siren's name.
That's so cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kevin, for joining us, and we'll see you.
Thank you for having me.